Hello, my name is Semyon. Today we'll tell you about an Italian paint that allows you to achieve a chrome coating and other cool decorative finishes. Today we'll talk about the pros and cons, how to best prepare the surface, how to apply our paint, and all the stages and technical specs of our paint.
Good day. My name is Alexander. I work as a paint technologist for the decorative chroming line, ChromeEffect. The line is from an Italian manufacturer. It works on almost any material. You can coat wood, styrofoam, anything at all. That is, the top coat can be tinted. It all depends on your imagination. There are 9 pigments in total that can be mixed together to achieve the colors you want for your specific task. The painting process itself is a 3-stage one with intermediate drying times of 24 hours. As I said, you can coat all sorts of materials, but the preparation stage varies depending on the material. For instance, styrofoam is prepared using the neo-based compound, which coats it and creates a shell. So hygroscopic materials are coated with an additional compound to achieve the maximum effect. And then there's additional preparation, which is priming. You can prime with epoxy primers. The Italian material also includes an epoxy primer. You can use your own epoxy primer for preparation. Preparation is done with 800 to 1000 grit abrasive to ensure there are no scratches, craters, or any roughness. Initially, 2 types of primer are applied to the part. This is the TC Clear Primer. This is our 100T IC100T. It's applied to the prepared surface. Its purpose is that it's transparent, so it can be applied over a color palette. So if you want to set a certain chrome tint, say pink, blue, or something else. So a base coat is made and then it's applied. To achieve a greater effect and get a mirror finish, IC100B is applied. This is a black primer. It looks like this. It's applied directly to the finished sanded part. The primer is quite thick and has good flow, so it covers up any imperfections and everything else. It lays down into a mirror finish. Depending on how you apply this material, you'll get a mirror finish. The second one is clear. It's applied to a plastic part also as a mirror, but a clear one. Here you can set any color. This part can be blue, red. Depending on that, there will be a tint from within. The outer coating is also tinted additionally. On the clear primer, you get a brighter effect. On the black primer, you get a better mirror finish. Next, we have 4 types of chrome. We start with TC5. That's black chrome. Many people try to create specifically black. This is specifically black chrome. It's not a tinted top coat, but specifically chrome to achieve a deeper black effect. Next, we have TC20. This is a regular standard chrome. It's used for a mirror finish. So its mirror effect turns out to be greater than that of the black one. The black one darkens, while this one gives a mirror effect. Next, we have rainbow. This is our TC10. It allows you to achieve a rainbow effect. By using a clear primer with a colored base, whether it's blue or red, you can achieve these kinds of effects. The rainbow effect. Depending on the base color, you get 7 colors, and it will create all sorts of colors and shades. So in the sun, it will be a rainbow. This is our TC10, the rainbow effect. Next, we have the TC15 chrome. This is chrome for creating a frost effect. You've probably all seen the icy patterns on windows in winter from the severe frost. It creates the same patterns on the paint. So a base is created, this chrome is applied, and it creates a frost effect directly on the part. That's as far as the chrome goes. The chrome is sealed with a top coat. For this, MT300 top coat is used, and it comes with MT934 hardener. The mixing ratio is indicated on each package. The percentage of how and what to mix. So here it's mixed at 30 or 40% per 100 grams for mixing. Next, you can add the actual pigments to it. As I've already mentioned, there are 9 types. This is a pigment 2, and again, the percentage ratio is indicated on each little package. So that's 0.5% per 100 grams. So just a tiny bit is added. And again, depending on what percentage of this you've added, you get the brightness and saturation of the color. If you need it pale, you add less. Add more and you get a more saturated color. There are test sprays for this. You can try it out and get the exact shade you need. This is the gold pigment. There's red, blue. There are 9 in total. They can be mixed together. There are pigments like pink gold, which is rose gold. Yes, the percentage ratio written on it is 0.5. Each pigment has its own percentage. Based on that, you weigh it on electronic scales. Depending on the amount of material you want to mix, the percentage ratio is added. Different colors are achieved. There's the color copper. Yes, copper. There's gold, red, blue, green. But these are generally well-known colors. It's just that due to its composition, when you apply this specifically, you get a mirror finish. You need good lighting. In other words, it reflects. If you put this pigment over regular paint, it will just be a lacquer coating. It will, yes, it will also shine, but it won't reflect like a mirror. I'll try to show you the difference later. You can add it to the xyrolic and chameleon effects. you get something like this. So here it's a 3-color chameleon plus Aeralix. So it changes its color depending on the lighting, on the intensity of the light. So in bright sunlight it will be blue, in the evening it will be red. Plus, like this starry sky effect, how does decorative chroming actually differ from things like chemical metallization, electroplating, vacuum chroming, and other technologies? There are quite a few of them. A significant advantage of decorative chroming is that if, say, it's used on a car or something else and a pebble hits it, if it hits an electroplated coating, yes, electroplated chrome, a chip occurs and it starts to oxidize because there's copper under the nickel. Copper oxidizes when water gets in, and as a result a bubble forms. It all starts to turn green, swell up, and look quite unsightly. They use metal, but there is no metal in the paint. How does it differ from chemical metallization? Chemical metallization uses silver. The color is more saturated, but if any defects occur, like pebbles or anything else, when the outer layer is breached, the silver washes away. Besides that, silver is a very finicky material that doesn't tolerate organic matter. That is, the water must be purified to the point where no organic matter is present. So the distilled water sold in stores is just not suitable. You need good industrial filters, and on top of that, a rather complex technology, which is quite difficult, and at the same time, if not followed, it's prone to UV damage, peeling, and yellowing. With us, everything is much simpler. I mean, only paint is used here, and it's applied in 3 stages. So initially, as I said, a black or transparent primer is applied. All this happens at a temperature of 23 degrees, no less than 23 degrees, and it dries for at least 12 hours, but it's better to dry it for 24 hours. So you've dried it for 24 hours in a dust-free environment. No need to touch it with your hands. If you did touch it, wipe it with alcohol. Then, after 24 hours, you come back and apply the chrome. The chrome settles into a mirror finish, it's chrome 2. I'll show you all of this later with an example of how the chrome is applied. When applied, you can touch it with your finger right away, but for full drying, again, the solvent is quite fast. But even this fast solvent must evaporate within 24 hours to achieve the mirror effect and a good, well, result. After 24 hours, the top coat is applied. You can choose to tint the top coat or leave it as is. The top coat itself, the actual top coat, is transparent, so it turns out to be just regular chrome. It's a 2-component system, MT300 and MT934. The primer used is either 100B black or 100T transparent. It comes with an IC80 hardener. The percentage ratio is indicated right here on the can. All of this is mixed in the correct ratio, however much you need. 50 grams, 100 grams, 200 grams. Well, depending. The consumption is low. The entire 4.5 liter kit is designed for 10 to 12 square meters. The kit includes 1.5 to 2 liters of primer, 1 liter can of chrome, and 2 cans of top coat. That's 4.5 liters. Altogether, it covers about 10 to 12 square meters, depending on your goals and tasks. The tint can be bought separately. It's not that expensive. Well, depending on your needs, you don't have to buy all 9. You can buy just the one you need, then get another, a third, as many as you require. To prepare the part, an epoxy primer is used. You could use an acrylic primer, but epoxy is better because it has a higher coverage. It smooths out all those scratches and imperfections on the part, hiding them. You sand it down with 600 to 800 grit. It's best to apply it on to achieve a mirror finish on a light gray epoxy primer. Sand it smooth and then move on to degreasing the part. If needed, use an anti-silicone or anti-static agent, especially for plastic parts, because plastic builds up static during polishing, which attracts dust. To prevent this, wipe it down with anti-silicone and then an anti-static treatment. Next, move on to the primer. The whole process takes at least 3 days in a dust-free environment at a minimum temperature of 23 degrees. There's also active drying, which takes 3 hours at 60 degrees, but not all parts can withstand such high temperatures. For example, plastic from a 3D printer. You don't know who printed it or where or what temperature it can handle. There's a risk that the internal structure or other imperfections might show through. For metal, there are no issues. You can dry it however you like. So 3 hours at 60 degrees, if you need it done quickly, go ahead. There are also materials to speed up or slow down the process, but I'll talk about those later. It's always better to stick to the standard technology. If you're working with foam, there's OmniBase, which can be used instead of polyurea or other materials like various epoxy glues and so on. OmniBase is also part of the product line from the Italian factory. Applied with a brush or spray gun, it creates a shell about 1 millimeter thick, maybe a bit more, which is enough to make it strong. Take this monkey here, it's coated in OmniBase. With OmniBase, you don't necessarily need a primer, you can apply the chrome directly. It basically provides the same effect as a base primer for the application. Since the primer is the base for chrome, this works the same way. In principle, you can start chroming right away. But this clay piece here is highly absorbent, so you definitely need a sealer primer to prevent absorption. Because if you apply primer to materials like clay or wood, it'll just soak in, wasting material and defeating the purpose. Foam would just dissolve, which is why we use Omni-Base for it. There are all sorts of materials, and every order presents its own unique challenges. We tailor our approach to each client, calculating every task individually because the needs vary. Some use 3D printers, others foam, wood, or even furniture-grade MDF. That's quite tricky, but it's doable. We work with MDF too, though it requires a specific technique, but it's certainly possible. You can apply decorative chroming to almost any material and achieve excellent results. Compared to chemical metallization, it might be less mirror-like, but chrome is alive. Its appearance changes with the lighting, so it can be darker, it can be lighter, and it shimmers. Chemical metallization isn't like that. It's flat, just one color, and that's it, nothing more. Chrome is alive, it shimmers, so in this case, our material is a much better choice. First, it doesn't oxidize. Second, it's alive, and the application process is much simpler than chemical metallization and all that. Yes, there are some nuances, but we explain all of them during the masterclass. I'll show you everything else once we're in the spray booth.
In the third stage, as mentioned earlier, we apply the varnish. The varnish can be left clear to maintain the chrome effect or the rainbow effect or the frost effect that we showed earlier. Accordingly, the varnish can also be tinted in various colors. As I mentioned before, just to recap, we have a total of 9 main component colors: rose gold, blue, yellow, classic gold, bronze, metal, green, copper, red, and black. We can mix these colors together to create more complex and interesting shades, but we don't actually mix them all in a single can. Instead, we do the mixing right on the surface of the part that we're painting.
How the chrome is applied? When applying chrome, you should hold the spray gun at a distance of 20 centimeters. The spray gun is the same HVLP with a 1.3 nozzle. We open the spray pattern and the pressure is 2 to 2.2. Don't go higher or you'll go broke. Next, the chrome is applied in a non-standard way in a cross pattern, first vertically, then horizontally to avoid gaps, bald spots, or anything else. You shouldn't apply too much of it either. You'll see for yourself how it settles based on the effect. Chrome dries almost instantly because the solvent is very fast, so once applied, you can touch it with your finger and nothing will happen. But for the full effect, you need to wait 24 hours. It takes 24 hours to reach its full color, as the solvent evaporates at 23 degrees or higher. You can speed it up, like with the primer, 3 hours at 60 degrees, but not all materials can handle that. It's better to be patient, wait 24 hours, and then apply the top coat. Before the top coat, you come in, blow it with air, and any dust or specks will fly off. That's enough. You can wipe it with a tack cloth. Carefully and gently wipe it down, then apply the top coat. You can either tint the coating or not. The mixing ratio is on the can. It's applied just like automotive clear coat, pretty much the same thing. First you do a light dusting on the part, then you apply a full coat. Splash time between coats, if a thicker layer is needed, is about 10 to 15 minutes. You can apply a second coat for thickness, as many people like to polish it. Polishing is possible, preferably without abrasives, using a finishing compound. You can polish it to remove any minor imperfections. The primer is applied at 3 atmospheres of pressure to avoid orange peel and ensure the surface is as smooth as possible. It should be mirror-like. If you prepared the part poorly to begin with, you'll see scratches, dust, and so on. You'll have to redo it all or polish the primer, which isn't ideal, but it means the part wasn't prepared well. So it must be prepared so there are no scratches, dust, craters, or anything. If you see them now, you'll see them even more in the mirror finish because it shows everything. For application, the primer is at 3 atmospheres, 1.3 nozzle, same spray gun. Chrome plating is done at a lower pressure, 2.2. Well, chrome doesn't require that kind of spraying because the composition is completely different. It dries instantly. So if the pressure is high, it'll just dry in the air. By the time it lands, it's already dry. So you shouldn't do that. The solvent is too fast. As for the application, it's applied like a brush. I mean, yeah, for those who can paint, just like this, up and down, just like that, until you get a single layer coating, until a mirror finish is achieved. Again, let it dry for 24 hours. It gains its brightness. If you don't wait that long, the finish might end up being either matte or the mirror effect will fade and some issues will arise, meaning it hasn't dried through, it's not ready. The top coat also takes 24 hours to dry. In general, you could do it after 12 hours, but I recommend being patient and waiting 24 hours to avoid any trouble. Because if you have to redo anything, you practically have to start from scratch. You can't just fix a small section here. If you're doing it, you do the whole part, you can't just do a piece. So be patient, and you need to prepare the parts very well, specifically for painting. Perfectly prepared parts are 90% of the success. 800 and 1000 grit abrasives are your best friends, so the part must be prepared perfectly. You'll see for yourself how well you've prepared it. When applying the primer, it will lay down perfectly into a smooth mirror, black or clear, but again, a mirror where you'll see your work. If you don't see it, then you've done something wrong.
Today we've shown you quite a few different ways you can use our paint. We've explained how to use it, taking into account the specific characteristics it requires. We've talked about the pros and the pitfalls that can occur during the painting process. If this is interesting to you and you feel it adds value to your work, you can contact us via the link below this video. Write or call, we'll be happy to help.